I think the things that we love about Tony Ferguson are the same things that are destroying Tony Ferguson. Welcome to the Calf Kick Sports Podcast. My name's Tim Wheaton, joined as always by Ash. We got an exciting weekend upcoming. Ash, what's going on, man?
Oh, man, you know what? I was super excited about that press conference. Tony was firing me up. Did you hear the stuff he was saying? It's
Dana White privilege is the funniest thing I've ever heard. That's so
brilliant,
good,
man. He was like, Michael Chandler, you got Dana White privilege. And you know what? I would be fucking pissed off if I had a 12 fight winning streak and this King getting fucked over for title shot. Most of the time, it's not the UFC's fault. It was just the whole Khabib and Tony fiasco. But I would be so pissed off if you do the 12, you get the 12 fight winning streak, and then you fight a killer Justin Gaethje, and he beats you because you stupidly decide to weight cut twice in a row, and then a few months later you fight a really bad stylistic matchup in Charles Oliveira, and then you get Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler, who's got one fight in the UFC fighting for the title. What do you think of that, man? I think that's just a bit crazy.
We talked about the legitimacy of he's got a couple losses. You can't just throw him in for a title. 12 fight win streak. He's been scheduled against Khabib 12 times, or sorry, not 12 times, 5 times, 5 times at 5.
It might as well be 12, man.
It might as well be. And it's funny that every time that they were scheduled to fight, it was for it was main event on the prelims, and then it was main event on a tough, and then it was main event on a fight night, and then it was main event on a pay-per-view, and then it was main event for the undisputed title. And every time it just kept getting better and better, and then we still have never got that fight, man.
We never will, man. And it's just the saddest thing that's ever happened. In fact, the third time it happened, it was a pandemic that happened. So I hope that it doesn't happen, just because we'll probably have a world war or some shit like that. It's just four horsemen of the apocalypse and all that kind of stuff will happen. Yeah, I just it's a shame we never got that fight, man. But it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, the Khabib Ferguson, the one where I think just before weigh-ins, he tripped on the cable and tore off his knee, and then Khabib fought Al Iaquinta. We had a huge weekend planned here, and it was me and my MMA guys and a bunch of boxing guys, and the boxing guys paid for the pay-per-view, and they're like, this Khabib's a big deal, right? And you're like, yeah, huge. Yeah, he's like, so he's fighting Al. Is this guy any good? And we were like, no, not really. And they're like, does Al have any chance to win? And all of us were like, no, he
can't even be champion if he wins.
I know he could be champion if he won. Was it after weigh-ins that he tripped on the cable as well?
It was something stupid. No. It was in training camp, or the last few days of training camp, or some shit like that. And he tripped over and broke his leg. And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, man.
Tony.
How unlucky is that?
Oh, man, it's been a rough history for this guy. He was on The Ultimate Fighter in 2010 on Team Brock Lesnar, of all things. He's been around for a minute. He's 5 years older coming into his fight with Beneil Dariush this weekend. And every photo, all the press conferences, he looks 5 years the elder to this man, doesn't he? He's an old Tony Ferguson we're seeing.
He looks definitely a lot older, man. I mean, even in the last fight, it was just weird, man. He looked like a much older. I mean, I guess it's the shaved head as well. It didn't really do him any favors, but he looked older. He looked a lot more weathered. I'll tell you something, a nice little tidbit. With Tony Ferguson, every single fight he's had, including Michael Johnson, I think that was his other loss in the UFC before Justin Gaethje, he's actually had his moments where, he's rocked the other guy, or he's had his moments. And Charles Oliveira was the only guy in the UFC, in my opinion, that's completely dominated him from start to finish. So that's interesting to me. For me, that shows a possible decline, because when has Tony ever been completely dominated start to finish? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I think that's crazy.
It's tough when I'm looking at this fight, if we were talking about Tony Ferguson from 2015, 2016 versus Beneil Dariush of his prime, I would have absolutely no doubt that Tony Ferguson dominates that fight. I think the exact holes that Dariush has on the feet are exactly where Tony Ferguson finds his opportunities. But we're talking about 2021 Tony Ferguson, and the questions coming into this fight, this man is at a crossroads in his career. He's taken so much damage. Even like you said, in fights that he wins, he takes massive amounts of damage. Like he fought an old Donald Cerrone and got punched a bunch. He fought an old man, Anthony Pettis, and got knocked down. And yeah, he won those fights. He still took massive damage. And now we're looking at like, you've had a couple of knee surgeries. Yeah, I mean, you got absolutely pummeled by Justin Gaethje. I don't know where he's at mentally, but we will find out in this fight. It is that is the big question coming in. Does he have too much damage to continue competing at a high level in this weight class, or did he just have some bad stylistic matchups and he's still looking pretty good? And to be honest, nobody knows until after Saturday night. We really won't know. And some other weird stuff. He's training with Freddie Roach coming into this fight. I mean, that might help him. I don't know, because Freddie Roach is a boxing trainer, but he's also trained guys like Shogun Rua, who never developed his boxing. Like, I don't know if he's a world-renowned boxing trainer as much as like
not in MMA, not so much in MMA. It's a different ball game, I would say.
And he's coming in with a lot of like, where is he at mentally and where is he at physically?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say mentally, he definitely feels like he can win this fight. I mean, just going for the press conference, he seems ultra confident. He's trying to get in Beneil's head, which is funny because Beneil is just such a nice guy. He's not gonna take the bait. He's like, yeah, okay, Tony, yeah, I love it. And he goes, yeah, just watch. I'm gonna slam you. And just trying to make this as menacing as possible. And Beneil's like, whatever, man. Like, it's Tony being Tony.
I think my favorite part was when Tony Ferguson was like, everyone's dodging me, and Beneil was sitting there like, I'm fighting you on Saturday.
It's so funny, man. Oh, it's things that Tony does. It's just funny. But yeah, I think mentally he's definitely there. Now, physically, as you've mentioned, you brought up a great point there. He's taken a lot of damage. I mean, literally, I think nearly all of his fights, he takes some kind of damage. I mean, even against, I don't know, no offense to a nobody like Kakuno, for example, he took some big shots there. He was getting rocked at the beginning or got hurt a little bit. And it's almost like his defense is, non-existent because he's so damn tough. Same with Jiri. Like, as I mentioned, Jiri is basically Tony Ferguson, takes a lot of shots and gets knocked down a lot. And he gets back up because that's just who he is. And I think now at 37, it's just catching up. All this damage. I don't want to see it, but I think we are seeing the end of the road to Tony Ferguson. But we might be wrong. You never know. He could come back.
Yeah, we have seen people have late career success who reinvented themselves, but yeah, we are at that crossroads. But yeah, like we talked about, he takes damage even in fights he wins. Like, and that's the stuff that we love about Tony Ferguson, is that he takes massive shots and decides that's the time to do a spinning back elbow. He makes massive shots and decides he's going to do a somersault against Anthony Pettis. We love that. That is the coolest stuff ever. But he still took damage during that time, and I think now we're starting to see what's going on there. Even in his first fight in the UFC against Ranzi Nijem in 2011, you kind of see the problems. Like, he won that fight by first round knockout, and he still got dropped in that fight. Like, he just takes shots when he doesn't have to take shots, and every single fight he's had over a dozen fights in the UFC, and he takes too many shots, I would argue. But Beneil's kind of in that same camp, where he takes shots, he gets knocked down a lot. He is extremely hittable. He holds his guard kind of odd, but like
low.
He holds his guard way too low. And man, it's weird. I watched some of his early fights in the UFC and then some of his late fights. So his early fights, I see that he throws this massive overhand. He's a southpaw as well, so it's an overhand left. He throws this massive overhand, and he did get a knockout with it against Michael Vick, right?
Yeah, but James Vick, isn't it?
James Vick, not the football player.
Not the guy. But like, it's James Vick, to be fair. He's got the greatest highlight reel of all time on the other side, which is unfortunate. But
he's got the low light reel. But yeah, he throws this massive overhand and knocked out Vick with it. And it's a really nice overhand. And then he did the exact same overhand.
Who? Beneil?
Yeah.
Alexander Hernandez.
Thank you thank you so much. So he threw the exact same overhand right against Anthony Hernandez, and Anthony Hernandez caught him on the inside and knocked him out with it. But he continues to throw that exact same overhand over and over and over again. I think his biggest flaws are that he keeps throwing that, like, the same combinations over and over again. When he throws combination, he does the thing that Daniel Cormier says of like taking pictures. Don't stay taking pictures in there. Get your head out of there. And like we saw against Drakkar Klose, he kind of threw the combination and then just hung out on the inside, right? Even the spinning back elbow knockout he just had, he kind of got caught because he just like went in at one point, got caught, like he doesn't move his head back quite fast enough. And I think a lot of his combos are based on like, I'm going to throw a combination at you and you're going to back up. But if you don't back up, you can counter strike me because I'm kind of,
Yeah.
I'm like waiting in. And to Tony Ferguson, that's perfect. Tony Ferguson never evades strikes. He never blocks strikes. He's always trying to counter punch on his strikes. And he, like against RDA, I think that's his best fight in the UFC. He's threading punches through the combinations so perfectly. And RDA is a southpaw, just like Beneil Dariush is. And throwing that kind of overhand from the rear side, Tony Ferguson caught him a bunch of times. But I'm talking about a prime Tony Ferguson. So on the feet, maybe even out of his prime, I would still favor Tony. But in his prime, absolutely, Tony Ferguson lands those quick, precise shots. What do you think, though?
I mean, absolutely. With the feedback of Beneil's striking, I totally agree. He's got this nice left body kick that he's developed over the last few fights. It's nasty. I think in the pandemic, when there was no crowd, you can really hear that smack. So that's something that I'm really impressed at. But he doesn't move his head. Generally, he doesn't really keep his hands up, which is nuts. Because I think in the first fight he ever had in the UFC, I think it might be the second fight actually, but against I can't remember, Ramsey Nijem, when he fought him, it was like he just kept his hands all the way almost near his hips. And even after that, even training with Rafael Cordero, I don't feel like he's really kept a high guard at all, which is really unusual. He pressures people, but he keeps his hands low all the time. He got cracked by Drew Dober. He got cracked by Drakkar Klose. A lot of people have cracked him. And I think Tony Ferguson, with a 76-inch reach and someone who's almost 6 foot tall in the lightweight division, and who punches at really odd angles with the left straight uppercut. You know, that left straight uppercut, weird uppercut that he throws, and all these other straights and left hooks.
Oh, absolutely.
He could put him out, man. He could potentially put him out if he's got his hands low at the wrong time.
Yeah, definitely. Like even against a proper striker. I mean, every good striker that Tony Ferguson's fought, he's beat. Or like even against Justin Gaethje, like you said, that massive uppercut, and like he holds his hands low, and it's perfect for someone who might wrestle you because he might be going for a takedown. And that's what we saw in his first fight in the UFC, was very raw. Like he's continuously ducking in because Tony Ferguson might be going for a takedown, and then he comes back up with like huge overhands and huge uppercuts, and it's when it's working, it's really cool stuff. But no, I like what you said. And the controlling a southpaw, they both do similar things, trying to control the lead hand, keeping your foot to the outside. I think Tony Ferguson is a representative. There's an idea that someone like Jack Slack had talked about a while ago with like old class strikers versus new class strikers. And we saw it. I'm going to talk about Max Holloway versus Jose Aldo, for example, where a lot of the old class strikers do this thing of like, it's my turn to throw the combination, and then it's your turn to throw the combination. And now it's my turn to throw and then it's your turn. Whereas someone like Tony Ferguson or Max Holloway is just like, yeah, throw the combination. I'm going to keep punching you. It's my turn. I'm going to punch you. It's your turn. I'm going to keep punching you. Like they just keep going forward. They just are never stopping. So I think against really good strikers, where he is getting outstruck by like Donald Cerrone and Anthony Pettis, he just wears them down because he never stops coming at you. You hit him, you knock him down, and he's always there in front of you. He's always throwing those 1-2, and he doesn't undercommit on his shots, does he? He throws 100% power on all of his shots.
It's crazy because, like, you know, with Nick Diaz, you got like pop, 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 pop. Like he's just volume striking, and it all builds up. I mean, he has got knockout power. Don't get it twisted. Definitely, Nick Diaz has got knockout power, but he would never throw 100% power. He would just pop you until you just wear down and wilt. But with Tony Ferguson, he throws massive power in his shots. That his left hook, especially his left hook, in fact, right hook, his elbows, everything is just pure power. Honestly, the guy is just a freak. Like if you look at the health meter, he's like 100. It's 100, and his stamina meter is 100. Everything is just 100. So again, it's time waits for no man. And at the end of the day, man, everyone ages. Like everyone ages the same eventually. So I think it's going to catch up with Tony. Whether it catches up in the next fight, we'll see. I don't think the Gaethje fight was a big representative of him out of his peak, just purely because of the fact that he cut weight twice, man. I think that's just stupid. It's so stupid to cut weight twice. How much of a factor do you think, affected that as well?
It's so hard to judge. That's such a weird thing to do with a guy who struggles to weight cut. Like someone like Angie Hill, for example, like she's had to do it twice now of like, I'm going to cut weight here and then I have to hold my weight 2 weeks as when my actual fight, I'm going to cut weight again. But for her, it's no problem. Someone as big as Tony Ferguson, and like you even saw it in the RDA fight.
190, man.
He's huge. Like RDA is
Yeah.
is a welterweight, and Tony Ferguson's way bigger than him, right? He's a big guy to fight in this weight class.
Yeah.
Cutting weight for him is not easy. And I think we're finding out with the science of cutting weight of like, it's not good for your brain. It kind of lowers the amount of water tissue to help cushion punches. And like, yeah, it's not an overall good thing. But I think against a southpaw, he does a lot of good stance switches. He does a lot of good shifts into his jabs. He just throws a lot of kicks to control him. I think on the feet, Tony Ferguson has way more tools to beat Dariush. But let's talk about on the ground. Like, what do you see on the ground here? What do you think?
So in the Castillo fight, Danny Castillo fight, that's when we realized at the beginning, this is pre-Eddie Bravo and 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. He actually had no aggressive guard as he has now. Anything like that. He had nothing, basically. That there was no aggression in how he was in the guard. And then after he went to Eddie Bravo, he started really developing that aggressive guard. And not a lot of people would like to play with him on the guard. Now, saying that, I don't think Beneil Dariush is the type of guy that you'd want to be on the ground with. I think Dariush's key to victory, or his path to victory, is just to, take Tony down and make sure that you maintain that top pressure and land good strikes, which he's done in the past. He's actually got really good top pressure. And we've seen with Tony Ferguson, classically, against, someone like Kevin Lee, for example, he's not really good on the bottom against really top pressurizing wrestlers like him as well. So I don't know, man. On the ground, I would avoid it if I was Tony. I mean, I know he's brilliant and all that kind of stuff, but he's saying he's going to slam Beneil Dariush. If you start going into grappling exchanges, you are giving Beneil a path to victory, in my opinion. What's your thoughts?
I'm so pissed off at you that you took, like, you stole my
notes?
But you took my talking
points, man. Great minds.
Well, okay, so I will break down the lineage. So it's so weird to say that Beneil Dariush grappling background is on paper much stronger than Tony Ferguson. And like anyone who's watched UFC or is a fan of UFC would be like, that's sacrilege. Like, we don't say that about Tony Ferguson, but he was a collegiate grappler who kind of picked up jiu-jitsu really late. And like you said, he's really good off his back. He's picked up this really good active guard that Eddie Bravo teaches. And there's a really cool story, and you can read about it online. But with all jiu-jitsu, you can trace your lineage of black belts to black belts going all the way back to Mitsuyo Maeda, the founder of jiu-jitsu. And Beneil Dariush is a little bit closer to Maeda, but like, it's one belt, or it's one person difference. It's 5 or 6. But like, so Eddie Bravo has a really cool story where the person who gave him his black belt was Jean-Jacques Machado.
Oh, that guy is just dangerous, man. Dangerous motherfucker.
He's an ADCC world champion. He's a baller as hell. But he took his black belt off of his own waist to give to Eddie Bravo. That same black belt,
I didn't know that.
Eddie Bravo took it off his own waist to pass to Tony Ferguson. So Tony Ferguson's black belt, I know, Tony Ferguson's black belt is the same one.
You guys listening to this is exclusive content for you.
Man, is that insane? So it's Jean-Jacques Machado to Eddie Bravo directly to Tony Ferguson, because he's just like, this guy was the shit. It's amazing how good this guy was.
That's crazy.
On the flip side, Beneil Dariush is a no-gi world champion when he was competing in purple belt, absolute, brown belt. Again, absolute is a no weight limit, so it's a little bit surprised that he did so well for someone so small. But purple belt, brown belt, he won. As he got a little bit higher, he started coming runner-up, and then he got into the UFC. So he is a black belt as of now, known for his pressure guard passing. But I saw the exact same things that you did, where Beneil Dariush has the best opportunity to win this fight from top position. He actually doesn't have that good of takedowns. Like, even Drakkar Close, he didn't get him down, but he just like jumped on his back to grab.
Jumped on his back and just almost choked him.
That's right. Yeah, never actually got a takedown, but still almost won the fight from there. He's really good on top position. Like, he shut out his last 2 fights ago with Diego Ferreira. He held top position. It was a close fight, but he still was able to control another no-gi world champion in Diego Ferreira. And like you said, Kevin Lee. You and I have talked about Kevin Lee. Like, he is the best fighter on the planet for 3 minutes every fight. And he showed that kind of like, if you put Tony Ferguson on his back, get those takedowns, hold top position, don't play with the submissions, just look for ground and pound. and you can hang out and guard with him. Tony kept throwing up the triangle against him. He tried it a few times in the first, didn't get it, got it in the third round when Kevin Lee tends to fade a little bit. I think Beneil Dariush, playing to his strength, needs to go for a takedown, needs to control the fight. And honestly, my official pick is Beneil Dariush grinding out like
no way.
That's my pick. I know.
I mean, I'm not that surprised actually. Yeah, I'm not that surprised, but I get it. I totally get it. It's Tony, man. How could you?
And if it's on the feet, Tony Ferguson can thread through his 1-2s, his big uppercuts. He's going to control with kicks. But if it's on the ground, I honestly think Beneil Dariush is a better grappler. And I'm willing to eat those words come Monday, when we do the post-fight breakdown. I'm sorry. You can quote me back when I look like an asshole for that one.
You're going to have people coming at you in the comments, man, for sure.
Oh, I know. But what is your pick? What's your prediction of how
so
this
I actually had Tony, even though the first half of this podcast, I'm basically going, Tony's a bit old. I can't pick against him right now. I still think it's still early to say he's completely done. Maybe the last fight, it was just a case of it was a bad stylistic matchup. But this is a good fight for Tony. I mean, let's face it, Beneil isn't the best striker. His striking is somewhat decent, but he takes a lot of shots. As you said, he takes a lot of shots in nearly in every other fight. And Tony is not the type of guy that you want to take any shots from at any point, because he's got power in both hands. I've seen that he's knocked out people with the left and the right in the past as well. So on the feet, as you mentioned, if it's on the feet and it stays on the feet, even with Rafael Cordero kind of striking coaching that Beneil Dariush is getting, I don't think that makes a difference. I think Tony Ferguson's pace, pressure, and overall cardio and relentlessness is gonna succeed. But is this the same Tony Ferguson? It's hard to say, isn't it?
We're gonna find out, and it's so exciting that we're either gonna be extremely happy that this guy gets like a quality top 10 win, or we're gonna be so sad that one of the greatest potentials in the history of MMA never got his due, never reached a proper. He was an interim champion. Oh man, go break it down sing the praises.
So with RDA, and this is what I think. RDA losing to Eddie Alvarez, I mean, let's face it, he shouldn't have really lost because he had a really shitty weight cut. I think he passed out in the weight cut. I think most other fighters probably would have been like, listen, I'm not going to fight, for whatever reason. But RDA is such an animal, probably one of my favorite lightweights ever. So I'm a bit biased there. But he's such an animal. He decided to take a fight with Eddie Alvarez and get knocked out. Now, I think the fight after that, that's actually a championship level RDA. I think that wasn't a championship level RDA. And the Tony Ferguson that fought him, that is the best Tony Ferguson would ever see. And he was very technical. He didn't take that much damage either. I mean, that first round RDA won, but Tony Ferguson basically took over the rest of the fight. But yeah, man, it's just sad. Like, if we never see Tony win the title, it will be sad. But at this point, I think it's very unlikely he does win the title, in all honesty.
No, RDA is so technical, and you really saw in that fight of how good Tony Ferguson was. You saw him doing the kicks to the lead leg against a southpaw.
Yeah.
And RDA had some cool moments. Like you said, he probably definitely won the first round, I would argue. He outstruck him. And then Tony really displayed where his strengths are of this guy just doesn't stop. How does this guy still here? And you got some of the coolest highlights. That was when we were doing Tony Ferguson was doing the spinning dance to elbow and punch strike and stuff. That was
sand and all this other shit.
Man, it was just peak Tony Ferguson. And RDA had that step out, the right hook that he landed was really good. And you saw Tony is just fine. He's so tough. He doesn't step back from strikes. He just counter strikes on everything. And that fight is just an absolute treat to watch. But looking forward, it's a little bit challenging of what do you do with either of these guys? Or sorry, what do you do with Tony Ferguson, win or lose? Where does he go from here?
Yeah, so win, the sky's the limit, really. If he wins in impressive fashion, I would actually like to see him fight the loser of Gaethje versus Conor. That would be an interesting one.
Wait, sorry, Gaethje versus Conor or Conor versus Poirier?
The loser, sorry, what am I talking about? Conor versus Poirier, that's what I mean. So I would like to see him face the loser of that. I mean, imagine Tony Ferguson. I mean, I don't think Conor would fight Tony if Conor loses, but if, for example, Poirier loses, imagine Tony versus Poirier. That would be a good fight. I think he needs a couple more to get back in there. Or even better, him rematching Justin Gaethje. I would love to see that rematch again. You know, Tony Ferguson not compromised, not doing two stupid weight cuts right before. That would also be a good one. Now, if he loses, and I know people aren't going to like what I'm going to say next, I want him to move up to welterweight. Genuinely, he's too old to be making 155, and it did wonders for Michael Chiesi's career. Why not Tony Ferguson?
I didn't actually think about that. I mean, I want to talk about how much of a sadomasochist you are, that you're like, yeah, let's put Tony Ferguson in with Justin Gaethje again. What is wrong with you? Like, that's disgusting, man.
I think he could win, man, the second time around. I genuinely do. If he's on form, that is.
I'm so happy I got to do this podcast with you, because I know you were such a Tony. As long as I've known you've been a Tony Ferguson fan. And so this is great to just like have the Tony Ferguson army right here in the podcast.
I'm like Tony Ferguson's biggest fan, man.
Yeah, and I love it. I mean, losing it puts him in a tough spot. I think losing, like you said, moving to welterweight might be really wise for his career. There might be some good stylistic matchups there where like he can really run through. Like, how does he do against someone like Neil Magny or Jorge Masvidal? Honestly, he might be able to beat those guys.
I think he fucks them up, man. Honestly, he fucks them up.
And those are top 10
I'm
guys.
Just a fanboy in me, but I don't know, man. I think at welterweight, he should have moved up ages ago. I mean, let's be honest. In tough, he actually was a welterweight. He was fighting at welterweight. He's got the frame for welterweight. I think he's got the same reach as Kamaru Usman and basically the same height. So it's not like he's going to be undersized at all at welterweight. He'll still be a very big dude. But let's just see, man. I think with the loss to Beneil, move up, man. Like you're just draining yourself at 155 now. Get big.
Yeah, 155 is such a competitive division. It's a good young division as well, and I think welterweight, man, maybe could use some new blood. It's thinning out a little bit. You see the top five of like no one's fighting each other in the top five, and like, yeah. I mean, how does he do against a Damian Maia? I would honestly pick Tony in that fight.
Oh, I would 100% pick Tony there. I think Damian Maia is facing Bilal Muhammad, actually.
That's right, yeah.
So that would be interesting in itself. But yeah, I mean, Damian Maia versus Tony Ferguson. I think Tony Ferguson fucks him up so badly. I don't think Damian Maia even gets him on the ground. I think he gets finished even before he is able to do anything at all to him.
I think, yeah, maybe win or lose, it's just a good move to welterweight, honestly, now that I'm looking at the rankings. I think like someone like Vicente Luque probably murders him. But
that would be an amazing fight, man. Vicente Luque versus Tony. That would be so good.
That'd be a good one. But like even Stephen Thompson, I'm starting to think like maybe Tony could actually like.
I think Stephen Thompson probably fucks him up, to be fair. Like, nice. I think Thompson probably fucks him up. I'll be honest with you. You know, I'm biased, but I'm not that biased, man. I know Wonder Boy is a problem, man, big time. So, what do you think about Beneil? Win or lose? What do you think about him?
When we know where he moves to that top five, the lauded position, and he finally gets into that like really competitive top five at 155. However, I don't think he beats anybody at the top five of 155. As much as I want to say if like next he fights Connor? Someone like Connor, sure, but like I can't see anybody that Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier. Yeah. I think he easily loses to any of those guys, unfortunately. I think he just gets knocked out. I don't think his takedowns are quite strong enough against any of those guys. Although keep in mind, I'm picking Beneil to pick Tony Ferguson. So maybe I'm just like, I'm just entirely wrong on one side of this. And he actually can't beat Tony at all. He's not a top five fighter. But yeah, I think even like RDA might be a good fight. Or did he move up now, or does he have a fight coming up?
No, he's moved back down to 155, which is very strange because before he used to say 155 weight cut is too much. So I have no idea what happened like to his body for him to be able to handle 155 again. Maybe he really leaned up. I have no idea. It's an interesting one in that. But
yeah, I can't see him beating any of the top five. What do you think of Beneil on a win?
Beneil on a win, I think that's a good choice, actually, him versus RDA. I'd like to see RDA back in there with a top contender. I mean, I know he faced Felder, but it was on short notice. But someone on a nice winning streak, someone to prove RDA's worth as well, and for Beneil to prove his worth as well. I think that'd be a fantastic fight. I can't see anyone else taking up the fight with Beneil. In all honesty, they're just too highly ranked. Or Beneil versus Dan Hooker. That would be a nice fight if Beneil wins, if he loses, that's more of a loss kind of fight. Win RDA, loss maybe Hooker. What do you think?
I love it. I think that's actually perfect matchmaking. The Hooker Beneil fight, I like. Man, I think I think
Don Shelby should just give us our job. Just give his
there you
job
go.
to us.
Man, honestly, do it. Especially at lightweight. It's like put the names in a hat, whatever. I want to see all these fights. Man, even like Hooker. I would pick Hooker to beat Beneil Dariush, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's a great
I
fight
would.
for him. I don't know. But well, we'll see how this fight goes this weekend. Man, I like that we split on it. We saw different things. I mean, we saw the same things coming in and still came to a different conclusion in the end, which is great to have. You're a little bit of a bigger Tony Ferguson fan, so I'm going to have you do the send off, do the plugs. Tell us where we can see more of you.
Calf Kick Sports, man. I'm glad you guys checked this one out. It's going to be a very interesting one on Saturday night. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. Tim, final thoughts?
Yeah, check us out, Tim Wheaton MMA, Calf Kick Sports here on YouTube, Calf Kick Sports on Instagram. Make sure to keep an eye on us. We'll have some more stuff upcoming next week. But honestly, thanks, guys, for listening. Make sure to comment. Let us know whose side you're on. We're split on this one, so please let us know, and we'll talk to you folks soon. Peace.